Lyss, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's talk a little bit about branding. Okay, this is the thing. I mean, we can just us right now. All these people want to build websites. They want to do social media. And they want to put themselves out there, launch a podcast. Not that any of these things are bad. They're missing a huge first step. According to you, what is it?
Absolutely. All those things are amazing, and they're all such an important piece of the puzzle, different pieces of the puzzle. Number one step is strategy. We always build from strategy.
Okay, what does that include? What does that entail? Is that like colors, fonts, blah, 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 or what does that entail?
Before we even get to anything visual, we're really digging into the root of who you are. We're asking really big questions.
Yeah.
Who you are, what you do. Even though these may seem very rudimentary, getting super clear what we do, what we don't do, who we serve, who we don't serve. Then from there, really taking a look at our audience, because that's who we're marketing to. That's who all of these visual, beautiful assets need to speak to. As much as you need to love those visual assets, they need to speak to your audience. So we're really going to dig into the core demographics of who they are, what they love, what they're attracted to, and then we combine those together.
Well, I think this is huge because I know you don't do design anymore, but early on in your career, you were doing design. You were helping develop websites. You were helping create logos. I can't imagine how many conversations you had to have with clients. They were 8 steps down the line and they're like, we need you to build this for us. And you're like, whoa, if you just had some of this figured out, it would make you building it so much easier. It's like they're trying to plan the look of the house while building it.
Absolutely. That's a perfect analogy. So I do work still a little bit in design. My agency still helps build these brands out, but I really work one-on-one with the clients to do this first step. Like you said, we're absolutely a little too far ahead, and it's so hard because it's so exciting. Those are the really fun pieces, and that is a way that you feel your brand come to life, is through those visuals. But absolutely, we can't build a house without building the foundation. We can't pick out the siding. We can't decide the tiles that are going to be in the bathroom if we don't even know the square footage of the bathroom, right? So we really have to take a step back and start from square one.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when we've talked about kind of the stuff that I do, you know, kind of said, hey, this and that about design and who do you want to be and who is your audience. And I sort of stumbled into this, you know, over years of building my own business and my quote unquote brand, albeit sometimes unintentionally by accident. But I can kind of tell who listens to me now. You know, they're professional people. They've had pretty good success at work in whatever they do, and then they want to shift gears and they want to share their ideas. They want to build a business and an identity around their expertise. And I can't show up in a t-shirt all the time. Like I kind of got to dress the part. Some people may feel like I don't want to do that. Like, how do you reconcile that? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important to remember that actually is the perfect way to fall into your brand. I've even found that with myself, and I find that as you are really doing what it is that you're best at, your zone of genius, you're really gonna start to see who's attracted to you. And sometimes that's totally different than who you set out that you maybe thought you wanted to serve. So it's important to remember that the right people will find you in time. So that's also why we don't start out with a completely custom, fully, encompassing brand when you're starting your business, right? We wait a little bit of time to see what that looks like. But I think it's so important to remember that you need to be true to who you are. And we use the word authenticity all the time, that it doesn't even really have meaning anymore sometimes, which really frustrates me, because I think it's so crucial to remember that your audience will be able to tell what is authentic to you, right? You can tell when you're scrolling through your feed, wow, that person seems really genuine when they're talking to the camera. I feel like I'm there with them. I feel like they're talking to me. Or, wow, this video kind of looks really staged and posed. I think you always say, don't rent an Airbnb and film a bunch of content in it and pretend that it's your house. Yeah. It's fine if you're going to rent for a nice space, but don't pretend that this is you and your life, right? So people will very easily be able to tell what is real, what is true, and who you are. So whether that's, hey, I have professional side of me. When I go stand on stage, I speak, I'm in a blazer, but I have my cool sneakers on like you do. But also, this is me like traveling. Maybe I'm in a t-shirt. This is part of my life. So I think it's just all about finding balance of how you want to show up for your audience. But we also have to remember that we're people and people want to see all sides of you. You can choose how much of that people see, and that's totally up to you. You have to maintain a level of privacy and intimacy, right? But I think that you get to decide. So we can alleviate some of that pressure of what people expect or need and kind of help dictate what that looks like.
Yeah, so good, so important. We do live in a much more visual society. It came to mind just while you were sharing that. I don't know if you play a lot of video games. Maybe not. I'm going to go out
That's
on
some old school Mario.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, yeah. And these games now, they have entire what they all call skins, and it's how the character's dressed, and people pay to just have variety in the character. That it's not Mario in the red jumper anymore for the entire game. People get so bored of the look of their own character or avatar because we are such a much more visually oriented society. So I do love that, and I kind of view it like that. I'm like, let me change the skin for this year.
Yeah.
The uniform, my speaking events, and how I want to look, and blah blah blah. And it's fun. It's fun. It's a
Absolutely.
new way to express yourself. So thanks for jumping in for a few minutes here and just kind of sharing what you know. If you need any kind of tips on branding, especially a strategy of getting your brand together, absolutely go to lisshouse.com. All the details are right here in the notes. Lyss, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So good to be here.